What's going on, my friends and family, and welcome back to another vegan meal prep, this time with the theme of being soy free. Now, Vegan Tarzan apparently is checking in right now because this hair is getting really, really long. Just got back from the gym, so I took a shower. That's why my hair is really wet. So forgive me. You don't need to comment and say my hair looks oily. It's just wet, okay? Now make sure that you guys stick around to the very end of the video because I'm gonna be giving you some extra tips and tricks that you should definitely look at and follow. And also I wanna mention that the macros and calories will be listed after every single meal that I show you today. And the ingredients and recipes will be in the description below. So when you come back to this video, you don't have to rewatch it again. You can just go straight there, copy and paste it, and make these bangers. Now, let's jump into this first recipe. So this first one that we're gonna do is a black bean soup kind of chowder thing, but it is so good. So what you are going to need to do is take 3 bell peppers. I like to have them different, colors. That way we got the whole rainbow in there. You wanna seed and dice those. You get an onion. You're also going to dice that onion. And then you're going to take cilantro, and this is up to you. You can take a whole bushel of it if you love cilantro. You can do just a little bit of it if you don't love cilantro. You're also gonna wanna do a good amount of garlic. So I would say probably about 6 cloves, but if you're like me, you'll want to do like 40 cloves. But for the sake of this recipe, we'll keep it normal, 6 cloves. You wanna dice all of those things, and then you wanna throw them into a frying pan, and you wanna let that saute for, about, I'd say 6 or 7 minutes, basically until the onions are completely translucent and everything's nice and cooked. Okay, so then once all this is sauteed, you're gonna take a teaspoon of cumin, put it in there. You're also gonna take 3 cans of black beans, which is about 45 ounces of cooked black beans. And finally, you are going to do 7 to 8 mild pickled jalapenos. If you go hot and you like hot, that's cool, but I kind of messed it up and did hot, and then everybody that tried this was like burning their mouth out, so make sure you get the mild ones. And then also you're going to add 3 cups of veggie broth. You're gonna cover this with a lid, and you're gonna let it simmer for, I'd say, about 7 to 10 minutes, kind of let all the flavors marry and get together. It's gonna be way better if you let it simmer for longer. All right, so now once all this has simmered, you are just going to basically take a ladle, and you're gonna take about half to 3/4, and this depends on how chunky you want it, how smooth you want it, and you're gonna put that into a blender. Basically, be very careful because it's hot, right? And it might explode a little bit. Mine exploded a little bit. But you wanna blend this as much as you want. So if you want it really smooth, then go ahead and make it really smooth. If you wanna just pulse it a few times, and that way it has some chunks to it, do that. Whatever you wanna do. But then basically, you're just gonna re-add all of that blended mixture back into the unblended mixture, and this is going to be your soup. You're basically done now. You got the chunks in there, that way you have a little texture, but this black bean soup is stupendous. It is so freaking good. So now basically you're just gonna do the meal prep portion of it. So you're just gonna get out your meal prep containers, and you're gonna divide this into fifths. This makes 5 servings. And you wanna make sure that you top it with whatever you wanna top it with. I like to put nutritional yeast on it, I like to put lime juice on it, and I like to put avocado on it. But you can top it with whatever. You could also, have this with some chips or some bread or whatever, but seriously, this one is fire, and it's definitely a remake. All right, now we're moving on to the second meal. This one actually is more so of like showing you this really awesome sauce that you can put on anything, but I'll also show you how we turn this into a meal. But seriously, this cashew cheese sauce is like phenomenal. So basically what you're gonna need to do is start with half of an onion. You wanna dice that up along with 1 full bell pepper, any color that you want. I used orange, and then also as much garlic as you wanna use. Again, I'd say 6 cloves is probably good when you mince it up, but for me, I'll go probably somewhere around like 12 to 20,000 cloves of garlic. It's really good if you put more garlic in it. Anyways, you wanna mince that up, and then you wanna saute that. So that's gonna take about 6-7 minutes, something like that, to saute that all down. Again, just check the onions, make sure they're translucent. Then you're gonna take that off the heat, and you are going to add the following: 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 5 to 6 pickled jalapenos. Again, mild is definitely better if you don't like that spice. You're gonna need half a cup of nutritional yeast and 1.5 cups of soaked cashews. So I soak these for about an hour. If you don't soak them, it's actually fine, but when you soak cashews, they get a lot more creamier, they have a lot better of a texture, and so yeah, soak them if you can. Put that all into a blender, and then finally add a cup of your favorite nut milk. I used Ripple, which is like a pea protein based nut milk, which has a lot of protein in it. That way I could get some extra protein into this meal, but you can use whatever you want to, almond or cashew or soy if you're not adverse to soy. Just basically the creamier the better, because you're gonna add some creaminess to this sauce. And then that's really it. You're just gonna blast this thing. You're gonna blend it for as long as you can or want until it has an extremely smooth texture. And it should get there actually pretty easy, because cashews are really easy at, getting smooth and making really good smooth sauces. So now this is basically done. You want to just pour this into a bowl or into a Tupperware, whatever you want to save this in your fridge with, and you want to just add that final bit of seasoning, so some salt, some pepper, however salty you want it. This definitely is still good without having a lot of salt, but obviously the more salt you put in, the more cheesy flavor kind of gets pulled out of it. But then basically, this can be used on anything. It is phenomenal. You can just dip chips into it. If you have like a big get together, boom, bang, really good. But we are making this into a meal prep. So what we need to do is get our meal prep containers out, and we're gonna take 1 cup of cooked rice or whatever kind of grain you want, if you're doing some quinoa or something like that. And honestly, I would say if you're kind of a bigger person, bigger boy, you want to eat some more, then do 2 cups. But for the sake of this meal prep, 1 cup of cooked rice, 1 cup of cooked pinto beans, and then the greens of your choosing. Now, I use some baby bok choy because I'm getting into bok choy. I really like it. And I put some kale on the side. And now you can eat that kind of mixed into the whole thing, or you can just eat your greens on the side, but put some greens in there. And then you're just gonna top that rice and beans portion with 1/5 of the cheese sauce. So basically, this meal is done now. When you eat it, I would definitely suggest heating it up, because this cheese sauce is definitely better hot. But that's it. Here you go, check out these macros and calories. All right, now we're at the last recipe of this meal prep, and this one, I always add in one that's like super easy, because me being kind of a bro guy who's gotten into cooking, who now I really love big recipes and like kind of intricate things. When I was, a little bit earlier in my cooking career, I definitely would have saw some of these recipes in this video and been like, that's a lot of effort, even though it's not really. So I always like to add one that's very, very simple. So basically, you're just gonna take a big old sweet potato, make sure you wash it and whatnot, take a knife, cut it down lengthwise, and this is gonna allow it to open up easily once you have cooked it. And all you're gonna do is nuke that son of a bitch. So that's gonna be 7 to 10 minutes, basically just until it's kind of squishy when you press on it. You're just gonna take that out, and then you're gonna use a fork to fluff the insides. Make sure that all of it is cooked up. There's no hard pieces in there. And then what you're gonna do, this is insanely easy, take a tablespoon of your favorite nut butter. I'm using a chunky peanut butter here, and mix that in with the insides. And it's optional for you to use a sweetener of your choice. If you wanted to use something natural like maple syrup or something like that, or if you want to just use some stevia or sugar or whatever you want to use, mix that in there with it if you want to. And that makes it kind of like this delicious, sweet, peanut buttery, sweet potato mixture thing. It's really, really good. And finally, all you're gonna do is take a cup of cooked chickpeas, and you're gonna take, about half the cup and put it inside of the sweet potato. You can mix it in if you want, or just leave it there. And then the rest of it, you're just gonna pour around the sweet potato. And that's basically it. I know, it sounds a little simple, but try it, because that sweet potato peanut butter mix is like really, really tasty. And with the chickpeas, you're getting some extra protein. As you're cutting it apart, as you're eating through the sweet potato, you can kind of pick up some more of those chickpeas on the outside. It's a really, really good meal that I think is kind of like underestimated. And obviously this makes 1 serving, so you just want to make as many servings as you want. If you're meal prepping for the whole week, you want to do 5 sweet potatoes, and you can obviously cook them in the oven as well. But yeah, just wanted to make this one super ultra easy for anybody who wants to just make a meal really, really fast. All right guys, so that brings us to the end of this meal prep video. 3 different meals. I wanted to make sure that this was soyless. Just because some people don't really want to eat that much soy, even though it's completely fine. I did a whole challenge about it and ate 45 pounds in 1 month, and my blood test was completely fine, and my testosterone actually went up. But also some people are allergic to soy, and they just get kind of a bad reaction to it. So I always want to make meal preps that are, different for every kind of different person. If you want to make 5 servings of everything, you can totally do that. If you don't, you can make them in smaller batches, bigger batches. Modify this and make it work for you however you want to. But I always get a lot of comments where people are like, this isn't exactly what I was thinking. And it's like, well, just make more or less. Again, the ingredients and stuff are below. So if you need a double batch because you need more food, you're a bigger bulking type of person, then just make 2 times the recipe. If you're like, you know, he only put chili powder in there, I want to put some cayenne in there to get some spice up in there. Or, you know, he only used this much nutritional yeast, but I love nutritional yeast, so I'm gonna use a whole cup. That's what I do with recipes, and that's what I want you to do with this as well. This isn't the perfect 3 meals every day. My intention actually is not for you to eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then that's what you eat for the day. I'm just showing you 3 meals that you can meal prep and bring with you. And also, make sure you're getting your greens, because again, this is just 1 meal. Make sure you're getting your greens and you're getting a full spectrum of everything that you need. I highly suggest using chronometer.com. Log your meals in there, not every day, but every week or so, and you can see, you know, what are you actually hitting and what are you maybe missing in your diet, so that you can address those, you know, deficiencies for sure. I also want to let you guys know that I do have a recipe book, so if you enjoyed these recipes that you saw in this video, I highly suggest and would really appreciate if you check out my recipe book below in the description, and I'll also put a little discount code there so you guys can check that out as well. Really good recipes. And I think that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Again, let me know what you thought in the comments below, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Team Beyond the Week, CT.
Lift heavy or die Myron, motherfucker. Team Beyond the Week, CT. Lift heavy or die